Welcome to the Skeptic and the Psychic with Shay and Psychic Gen B, right here at Paranormal Buzz Radio, live only on Spreaker.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast by the host and or the guest do not necessarily reflect the views of the host and or Paranormal Buzz Radio and or its sponsors. Use of any material produced by Paranormal Buzz Radio without express written consent is prohibited. Paranormal Buzz Radio will not be held responsible for you holding your knees, crying, and rocking in a corner in a puddle of your own urine, or being beheaded by a group of children in a cornfield. In fact, if you come across a group of children in a cornfield, we promise to make fun of you as you run away screaming in terror. Listener discretion is advised.
Hey everybody, this is Shay.
Hey, this is Jennifer.
Jennifer, I thought we only used Jennifer when you were in trouble.
You know, I actually prefer to be called Jennifer.
Oh.
Is that I know I never tell anybody because I go by Gen B, but I was always Gen B or Jennifer B, you know, obviously growing up with one of the more popular names. And, you know, Jen always came out once my friends were drunk. Everyone called me Jennifer before that. When they were sober, it was always Jennifer.
That's funny.
You know, and, well, Jackson, Jennifer, Denver, you know, all that crazy stuff.
My nickname came probably from people being drunk, so we're opposite there.
I just realized I left the dogs outside. I'm going to put you on mute for 1 second.
Should I, sing and dance while you're gone?
I took you off mute to say, yes, you should sing.
Oh, okay. No. I can see her yelling at Scott.
No, he's not. Actually, he's not here. I hollered at my son to... Please let the dogs in. There he is. Can you let the dogs in, sweetheart? I'm live and they're barking. Dum, 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 dum. At least my neighbors turned off their really loud music, so we don't have that playing in the background.
A couple shows ago, I had that big, huge fight in front of my house. I'm like, oh, Jesus, what are they doing? Do I have to mute this and call the cops? Because I thought somebody was getting killed.
Oh, my God. So tonight, for our beginning show, our first real show, we decided that we would talk to each other, basically interview each other.
Yeah.
So I feel like I haven't ever heard this question be asked to you or be answered by you. I mean, it's possible. And if I have asked it or if I've heard someone else ask you, I do apologize, but I'm going to ask again and you're just going to tell me anyway. But
Yeah.
I would like to know what experience or experiences you had that drew you to the paranormal.
I've had experiences most of my life. It stopped for a while when I was a teenager, but I had weird things happen when I was a kid, and then
I mean,
at my
what's the
grandparents.
first one you can remember? She's thinking, everybody. She's thinking.
I am. I'm thinking because
You at your grandparents, but didn't you have experiences in your parents' home as well? I'm trying to help her remember.
well,
I can
my
sing the
first
Skype song.
thing. I don't know if you consider it paranormal, but my first not normal experience is when I was a year and I told my mother I died. And went and went and met God and had to, which my mother was not religious at that time. So I was a year old and seeing a shrink, so that showed my future right there.
Oh my gosh, that's
Yeah, well,
crazy that your mom would take you to a shrink at
she took
one.
me to the pediatrician because there was no way I could have
You're
known
adamant.
there was no way I could have known what God or Jesus or anything was. So she took me to the pediatrician. And the pediatrician said, go see this person. And, she just said, who are you to say she didn't,
Yeah. Oh man, too bad that I'm just wondering, if you went to a psychologist or if the doctor referred your mom to a parapsychologist.
I don't know.
That's interesting. Okay. So then what's the first one you remember?
The definite next one I remember was maybe 9, 10. I don't know. I was young. And we used to see the shadow. And I wouldn't consider it a shadow figure, but it was some kind of shadow that was outside the window, and it would walk by and it would look at us. But yet you could actually see from the door that there was actually nothing there.
Could you hear footsteps?
No, but you could see it. And the first few times I thought my aunt was messing with me because she's a douchebag. Still to this day. I don't talk to her anymore. But I thought she was messing with me. She's only like 4.5 years older than me. So I thought she was like messing with me and like, look. So that got me reading into all the Time Life books and all the paranormal stuff. And then I finally got enough courage to say something. I think it was to my grandmother first, who is very religious, devout Christian, Catholic at that, so anything she said, I believed, like without a doubt, because she was just that type of person. And she's like, let me tell you what goes on where we work. And she's like, and ask your mother. And I'm like, oh, so they used to work for a famous author, and the house is haunted and crazy stuff like faucets turning on, footsteps, muddy footsteps appearing. So that's what got me into it,
Because not only did you have an experience there, they had experiences to share.
My grandmother validated it. She's like, yeah.
So the house where you saw the shadow figure walking back and forth on the front porch, was that your grandmother's house?
Yes.
So now that you know what you know, do you think perhaps because she worked in a haunted location, she would bring things home with her?
I don't know. That was the only time, over those few weeks that anything would happen. And then, there's, due to head trauma, there's a good 10, 12 years of my life that I don't remember. And I know everybody always thinks I'm kidding when I say I have memory problems, but I really don't remember. So
yeah,
it's hard
no.
to say.
Yeah, I mean, there's a medical reason.
Yeah, I make it into a joke, but there's big chunks I don't remember. So I don't know, and then one thing led to another, and here we are.
And here we are. Well, I want to ask you about more experiences, but I thought maybe we should give some shout outs to who's joined us in the chat room. What do you think?
Yes.
You want to take turns?
No, you can go ahead if you want. I don't care either way. I'm easygoing.
Matt was the first one to join us. And then, of course, you and I are in there chatting.
Yep.
And then Brittany and Benji popped in there. If you guys don't know Brittany and Benji, they are part of Paranormal Buzz Network. So be sure to check out B Squared Magic Monday, which is on every other Monday. And then the beautiful, lovely Miss Kelly McCarville is in the hizzy. And the lovely Miss Mallory is also in the chat. So thank you, everyone, for popping in chat. And for those who aren't in chat, well, thank you for coming and tuning in anyways. We appreciate you sending us love and light, and we're sending it back. And if Shay and I sound rather mellow tonight, it's because neither of us are feeling tops, but we're feeling excited about what we're doing, and that's the most important thing.
Yes. We do have other people listening that are not in chat. A couple of them are not in chat on purpose, but so hello to everybody that is listening on purpose, but is not in chat, and everybody that listens later. Thank you very much.
So, okay. So then I'm like, back to the subject at hand. I want to know, I mean, you're hearing stories from your grandma. Can you tell us the author? I mean, can you hint? Can we get a first name?
Yeah,
anything?
Dick Saper. Well, I knew him as Dick. His name's Richard Saper. He was an author. He has quite a few books out there. One of his books were made into a very popular movie in the 80s.
What was that?
Guy. I don't remember. But I can remember the movie, but I don't remember the name. I can remember the book cover, but I don't remember the name. So, after 7, things get blurry, and I only remember bits and pieces.
Richard. And then how do you spell Saper?
Saper.
Pper.
Something like that. You're asking the wrong person about spelling. Come on.
Easy Mobile. Let's see. That might be. He's a German industrial designer. Okay, different one.
Yeah. I think from Sandown, New Hampshire, if that helps.
Well, did you ever go to his house? I mean, with your mom? I was
not allowed in the house that I remember. Everybody else was, but I remember going to the property. I can remember driving down the road, but no, I never went in the house. It was a big, huge, to my memory, it was a big, huge house. Hello, Kim.
Aw, Kim came. Yay! Okay, so you grew up with, hearing stories, being supported that the paranormal was a real thing.
Well, we never talked about it after that year.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, but something else had to have happened. I'm sitting here going, really? Because I understand. Like, for me, like, I just have always, I can't think back at a time where I didn't believe in.
Yeah, I always did.
Ghosts.
But I am also one that I don't, due to my memory issues when I was younger, I don't remember what can be kids' imagination, what can be real, So I have very hard trouble but remembering what was what, but I always knew. But I distinctly remember that person being outside the window. But there was also a spotlight that would come on if anybody was actually outside that window.
Uh-huh.
So.
And it wouldn't come on?
No, it did not come on.
Interesting.
Yep. So. But I was into every kind of book you can imagine.
Right.
I always say, and half the people don't even know what I'm talking about, but Time Life came out with a series on everything from paranormal to Bigfoot to everything, and I like devoured those. So it kept going.
Well, now I want to look them up.
Yeah, they were
Now I want to
black.
look them up.
Yeah, they were black. They were Time Life or Warner, whichever company. I think it's the same company now.
Hey, Parallax. Thanks for tuning in.
Hey, that must be Dwayne, I'm assuming. That's his network. Is that Dwayne? I guess he'll tell us.
Oh, all right.
So,
but then, I mean, but there had to have been a point where you said, hey, I want to investigate. So there must have been like a really juicy experience.
No, as I got older, but it just seemed normal. There was so much going on, and I can't even remember when it started, but it was just always around. Matt and I would have small experiences, and where we lived, and then once I moved to my old place, where the one that burnt down, I was there for like 9 years, so huge stuff started happening. But even before that, things were happening. My whole family had lived in that house, and weird things were going on for my mother, and I would visit.
And this was your grandparents' house where you saw
No, this is something totally different.
Oh, okay.
So, this was just a place here in this area up here.
And so who lived in the house? Did you live there as a teenager? Or?
No. I moved out when I was like 16, 17, I think. I had Aaron, my son Aaron, very young, so I moved out when I was pregnant. And they moved up here where I live, and I live 2 hours away. But then when I moved up here, so things are going on at that house, and it carried on to where Matt and I lived. And then a few years, I started investigating after I lived there, and things started happening. And I met the other Aaron, not my son, but the other Aaron, and started investigating with him. And
do you think that whatever happened with you at the house you lived at before, that you could have taken it to your
no, because
hitchhike?
You're talking years later, and
okay,
like a lot of years later. So, I just think there's paranormal all around us, and it doesn't necessarily
for sure
follow one place to another. Just some people are more apt to it. I don't know why, but some people experience more, some people don't. And like I said before, my mother's a beacon, and she'll never say it. And she's never yelled at me for saying this stuff on air, even though she has listened. But I'm surprised I haven't got yelled at for talking about her personally. But she will never consider herself anything, but I think she has some type of few gifts. Always have thought that. So I think things are drawn to her. Or it's just coincidence. I don't know.
Wow, there's no such thing as coincidence. And I've told you, I feel like you are an intuitive. You're an empath. You're whatever I try to start out with the small before I'm like, yeah, you're a medium. No, I mean, I feel like you definitely have a light.
1,000 billion% tell you I am not a medium. No shape or form. I am not a medium.
I definitely think you're intuitive, though.
I'm very intuitive, but I don't know if it's street intuitive, like if I'm just street smart. But I am intuitive. But I am not a medium in any shape or form.
Curse word. Who cursed?
You.
Who cursed?
Oh, me. I said coincidence. That's Aaron. That's Aaron.
That's a curse word. All right, everybody drink. Drinks.
Aaron Thompson's curse word is what she's referring to. I'll drink my water. Yeah.
No, I totally think that you are very intuitive. I think that, obviously when you believe, I think that spirits feel that vibe around you, and they're like, okay, this person's a person that if I talk to them, they're going to actually consider this a possibility, versus they'll come across someone who's a non-believer, and why waste your time trying to interact with a non-believer if they're not going to believe? If you're a spirit and you know that you only have so much energy to use to talk to someone, then, except for those asshole spirits who want to scare everybody. But I mean, basically, if you have some sort of message you're trying to get across, why not go to somebody who you know is open to it, open to the communication, open to having a conversation?
I don't know. When I die, I'm going to haunt the people that don't believe just to be an asshole. So, you don't want to believe? Now you will. There we go. The first F-bomb.
Woohoo! Yeah, I mean, I've talked about, I worked for a major retail company, and I was a merchandiser, and I had to go into another retail store that sold this product to merchandise it, and because there was thousands of $1,000 a week that were being sold of this product, and there was an asshole spirit there. And as soon as I figured out there was a ghost there, I started asking around because I wanted that confirmation. And he hated it. That's when he started messing with me. It was like he didn't want anybody to know he was there. But I noticed that the lights would flicker. And I don't know if it was my guides or I was talking to him, but I was like, I just knew he would make lights flicker over people that were stealing, and that he was a former security guard in the building. And it was like, once I knew that pissed him off even more, because I would be cold in there and nobody else would be cold. After I figured out who he was, I didn't know his name. He would never let me know his name. Then that's when he came up behind me and blew my hair. I was upstairs grabbing some merchandise, and I hear him in my ear saying, "I'm going to turn on the fire alarm." And I went, before I could even say no, I'm standing right next to the bell. My ears were ringing for like a half an hour after that. It was so loud. He would do things just to be a jerk to me. So I totally think that given enough time, you will have the abilities to mess with the non-believers.
Oh yeah.
No, once you're dead.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Me and my sister already have passwords set up, so we'll know it's really us.
For psychics and stuff?
Oh yeah.
Did you tell your kids so that way your kids will know too?
Just my sister. If she dies before me, I'll tell somebody else. She's 10 years younger, so I doubt she'll die before me, but
fingers crossed that, neither one of you are going anywhere anytime soon.
I don't know. I thought it was yesterday, man.
So you really don't have one experience where you can kind of put your finger on it and say, this is why I decided to, I'm going to say something Shay's going to hate right now. This is why I decided to hunt ghosts.
My early years, no, because it happened, and it was just something I was used to.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. Older years, I had stuff happen. I mean, before I started investigating, and I don't know if Matt's still in the thing, but I saw a shadow figure again back where the fire, before the fire. Matt
at the house.
Matt and I lived together, and I saw a shadow figure, and it was standing across the room, and was just staring at me, and I was petrified. I was scared to death, and I've never felt that way. Like, I didn't know what to do. Yeah, not when it came to paranormal. I didn't know what to do, and then it charged at me, and I screamed so loud that I woke people up, and then I remember, I was probably mad at Matt that night. I was actually sleeping in my daughter's room with her. Not with him. And I was back in that room, and I'm pretty sure we woke up the kids and moved them at least. Yeah, I was scared to death. It was
wanted everybody together.
Yeah, it was bad. But it charged at me And I'm not saying it went through me, but it either disappeared right before or it went through me. It was the worst thing in the world. I mean,
did you feel like angry energy, or, I mean, other than your own fear, did you feel anything coming off of the shadow being?
it was just protruding fear. I mean, it was like, it's just, but that we had a lot of other experiences in that house. Benji's making fun of my accent.
I love it.
Yeah.
He's not making fun of it. We love it. We love that you say you saw it.
I can't, I know. And the second you like want me to say something wrong, I can't because I like overpronounce it. But
so did you ever figure out what it was? Did you have additional encounters with it?
No, but Kate would see red eyes, and we didn't discuss paranormal in front of my kids. They didn't watch the shows, up until a few years ago, probably 2015, they didn't even know that I believed in the paranormal. It was something.
Really?
I didn't want to encourage, but I didn't want to discourage. But Kate
that's so opposite of me. I'm always trying to get my kids to watch the shows with me.
Well, like I said, she would have scratches and bruises later on, and the red eyes. She would always see the red eyes, and we had to change her room so many times. So, and she's not home, so I can say this. There was some serious stuff going on in that house because she slept with me up until we moved here. She slept with me until the night of the fire. Once that place burned down, she was fine in her own room. Well, a few months she slept with me still, but that was later.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, she was 16 and still sleeping with me because
it was that scary.
Yeah.
Now, did you, I know a lot of paranormal investigators won't investigate their own homes because it's hard to, you're going to be biased. No matter what, you're going to be biased when it's your own environment and you feel invaded. Did you ever have anybody investigate it, try to help you figure it out, clear it?
I do not suggest anybody investigating their own house. But when I was first learning how to use equipment, stupidly, I'm like, yeah, let's do it here.
Yeah.
There was a lot of stuff. All the devices would go off in like a triangle pattern, like it was going in circles. And
oh, wow.
Yeah, it was really weird. But yeah, I do not suggest people. I mean, if you've been in the paranormal for years and years and years, but I just mean, I don't suggest enthusiasts. And I had no business investigating my own house. Don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't suggest enthusiasts investigate their own home. But
I feel like because you believe in it so much that it's just not a good idea because you can't remain neutral. You can't you can't stay focused on debunking things.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've said this, I'll have things come in and out all the time. I have a pretty good barrier up to keep negativity out. But if I'm doing a reading, if I have a client and they're with the client, before I set my boundaries, I had one come for a week ahead of time. I was here in my house for a week, mimicked my husband, mimicked my youngest son. And I was like, nope, I'm not going to experience this again. So my guides and I, we're like, different boundaries need to be set here,
Yeah.
I told them there, because it's free will, I have to tell my guides, okay, even if it's a human entity or a human spirit, they can't come in until it's time for their living person's reading, because he wasn't dark. He wasn't a really nice spirit. So, I mean, if he was a nice spirit, well, he wouldn't be mimicking my child's voice. That's a good way to piss a mom off. And it was after that, I kicked him out immediately. But I'm just, what did you, I know that you're a very protective mother. Yeah. So what did you try to accomplish to deal with helping Kate, as far as in kicking it out?
Nothing. At that time, nothing. I wasn't even investigating it.
Oh.
And then it would just stop for a long time. It would just stop and it would go away. And then the shadow person thing happened. And then it would just stop. And then my arm got broken. And then it would just stop. And then the house burnt down. So it stopped. You know? But it it was on and off. And I never thought of.
I just think that we should point out that Shay does not feel, she 100% does not feel that the paranormal experiences that happened in her house had anything to do with the house burning down. That was because you shared a wall with a neighbor, correct?
Yeah.
And that was it was the neighbor started a kitchen fire. It had nothing to do with the paranormal.
Yeah, I know. I fight with people about that on air, and I would apologize, but I'm not sorry, so fuck it.
There you go.
But to answer Kelly's question really quick, I don't
Kelly
think.
has a question.
Yeah, Kelly's question for those not in chat. Don't you think it's kind of hard not to investigate your own house? I mean, if you live there, you have to look into the noises and figuring out things. Yes, I'm all for that. What I mean by investigating your own house is, I don't think, especially enthusiasts, that means people that have never investigated anywhere. I also think that investigating the same place over and over again can create more activity, can make things stir up more. So that's why I said, it's not that
I agree.
necessarily against it. I don't suggest, if you don't know what you're doing, get help. But yeah, you always look into things. So there's a difference between, quote, investigating and investigating.
Yeah, if you're going to be running, say, an EVP session every single day.
Yeah, I think that can increase things.
Oh, yeah, I totally guarantee that, because it's just word of mouth, spirit to spirit. Oh, we can go here and talk. We can go here. And that was one of the first, I've been since, what's his face? The Mysteries Unsolved show.
Unsolved Mysteries?
Unsolved Mysteries, yeah.
I still watch that Monday through Friday. That's when I do all my social media is done while I'm sitting there in the morning from 8 to 11 o'clock watching Unsolved Mystery. That's why everything's done in the morning.
It's so sad. He died a couple years ago, too. He played Nick's dad on New Girl. And they even had a funeral for him on the show because everyone on the show liked him so much that the character had a funeral on the show and everything. But I mean, I've been watching every paranormal show that has ever been on TV. I know I've seen it, and I've probably seen it more than once. Ghost Adventures. Honestly, after Nick left, I stopped watching it because I liked watching Nick and Aaron. I thought they were hilarious. I've always thought Zach just...
You don't like douchebaggins?
Well, it's just too much look at me, and that's just not... being funny is one thing, but...
You want activity, you rip your shirt off and run around in the dark yelling, "Demon, come get me." It works every time. Just watch the show.
And have Kelly write on you?
I'm such a bitch. I know. I can't help it.
Honestly, their best show was that documentary they did. That got them the show. They did a documentary, and that's what got them the show, and that was their best stuff because it was truly their first, anyway. But there's an episode, and I can't even tell you what show it was, that sticks out in my mind. There was this lady who was just certain her house was haunted. Actually, I think it was Ghost Hunters. She was just absolutely certain her house was haunted. And she would sit in her garage and in her kitchen with an old school tape recorder.
And she would do 10, 12 hours a day, just constantly doing EVP sessions. Yeah, it was Ghost Hunters. Yeah, I recall that.
And that has always, it was when I see stuff like that, my guides will say, this is, if I'm been trying to meditate on something or trying to get an answer for something, they'll take me to TV shows or music, and they'll make sure I hear it to give me my aha moment when it has to do with myself, because I got the hardest head and I never want to hear anything. They have to bring stuff to me. And that always made me think, well, duh, if you're going to run a tape recorder in your house all the time, if you're going to whip out a Ouija board all the time, all those things are going to happen. Yeah. Now, that said, I read tarot cards in my house all the time. But I think it's my intent I set with my tarot cards, the protection. So then that makes me go back to, well, if you're going to use a Ouija board in your house, if you're going to do EVPs in your house, you have to set your intent first. You have to make sure you're grounded. You have to make sure your guides are called in, that you have your aura protection. Everything.
You also can't say, come help me, I have a paranormal issue, if you're constantly engaging and inviting communication.
That's true.
If you're inviting, if you say, if you're here, can you touch me? And then complain they touched you.
Yeah.
So you got to have clear boundaries, clear intent, And if you don't want the paranormal activity going on, don't engage. Clearly state, you do not have permission to do this. You do not have permission to bother me.
Yeah.
Or however you however you
Well, and I don't invite spirits in when I'm doing tarot readings, because if you guys don't know, I have a YouTube channel and I do bi-weekly readings. I break them down general energy by sign. I don't invite spirits to come help me. I invite my guides to help me. I don't invite my spirits. I invite energy, not spirit energy, but collective energy for the sign. And it's different. I burn sage before, I burn sage after, I disconnect the energy, I send the energy back, but I never invite ghosts in or spirits in. I never,
Yeah, I just, some people like my opinion, some people don't, but they're mine, and I don't lie about my opinions, and I don't kiss ass. But I respect people that have different opinions too. But that's just how I feel. If you don't want activity to continue, don't engage. Don't invite it to create more havoc. And it doesn't always work, saying you don't have permission. It doesn't always work, but it's a good start. So you are a psychic medium.
I believe I am.
So everybody has different beliefs, and why don't you explain to us what a psychic medium is to you?
Honestly, in my opinion, there's a lot of what you could label, as gifts for each that actually wash into each other. And it's so hard it really is hard to explain, because I can receive a message psychically, and a message.
So let me ask you this.
Mediumship wise, the same way, but receive them differently. Like the energy about it.
Can be a live energy, though. And mediumship is not live energy.
Yes.
Close?
Yes. So psychic energy, in my opinion, you can read a person's energy. You can read a person psychically. Yes, read people's minds. But I also feel as though that other people's spirit guides, not their crossed over loved ones, their spirit guides, totally different, will talk to me. And that feels like mediumship, but since they've never been a living being, I don't know if you can call it mediumship. That's where, to me, psychic medium kind of overlaps.
Yeah.
Is because I will have people's spirit guides tattletale on them. because their person that they're guiding isn't listening. They're being hard-headed or whatever. And they'll call them out, you know, but then you can have someone's dead. I call them your dead people. I do it just to kind of make it not so sad, because it's sad that somebody's dead. It's, you know, even though it's beautiful for them, it's sad for us living. But I'll say your dead person and your living person. But, you know, someone's dead person will tell me a message for their living person, and it's the exact same way. It just feels different. Kind of like,
tell the difference?
Yeah, well, all right. So my guides just gave me psychically a message, and they showed me running water over your feet. If it's cool water or if it's warm water, the effect of the water running over your feet is still going to be the same. The temperature of the water is going to feel different, but the flow of the water is still going to feel the same.
Okay, yeah.
You know, like it's the same, but it's different.
I get that. Okay.
Like all psychics or all mediums are psychics, but not all psychics
are mediums. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I always like clarifying that, but everybody calls themselves something different. And
yeah, it's a label.
It is, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I just like clarifying what's what. So, yes or no, because you took up so much time asking questions about me. So yes or no.
You're important. And I know The Walking Dead's coming on tonight, you guys.
She just left. I have no idea. She's like sign languaging and mouthing stuff. She just left. I don't know if she's coming back. I have no idea, but we said we wouldn't be on past 9. But
we got 15 minutes, Kate.
No, she left. She's like, I think she said homework. She had a stack full of books and left. I don't know. She's going to message me.
Well, so, now that Chandler Riggs isn't on the show, she might not be such a diehard fan. I don't know.
Yeah, she's a little upset about that.
Me too.
And Rick's leaving, and hey, Herschel died.
I know, the actor that played Herschel.
I forget his name, but real Herschel died. Yeah, he was supposed to come back this season.
I know. I figured maybe he was supposed to help Maggie get through some stuff, because you know it's supposed
to. They killed Glenn too. That damn show. They killed everybody.
Well, it's supposed to get dark between Maggie and Rick, and that makes me sad. But I'm sorry. I digress.
That's right. I was just gonna ask. All right, back to this show. We could do a whole show on The Walking Dead.
Oh, we could.
Yeah. Do you hear spirits?
Yes, in different ways.
Do you see spirits? Yes or no? These are yes or no. You can explain after.
In different ways.
Do you feel spirits?
Yes, in different ways.
I love it in different ways. That's so me. Somebody says yes or no, I have to throw that little comment in too. Do you smell them?
Yes.
Okay. Now you can explain. I just wanted to.
And they've given me tastes in my mouth.
Oh, I forgot that one. Yep.
Basically all the clairs. Yeah, it happens. So here, yes. I can, like I said, you know, I've had a spirit in my house, talk, and I can hear them, but I've heard them talk in their real voices too. But I also hear them more often, in what's considered like your ear chakra. So it's like you hear it in your ear, but it's not outside of your ear.
It's in your head more.
It's weird. It's, I swear to God, it's like literally in your ear canal, but it's kind of a knowing, but you feel it in your ear, but you know it in your head. And I don't know how to explain that. Like, you feel if you touch something that's hot, you feel it on your finger, but you know it in your head. That's how it. Yeah. Like, my guides are being so awesome right now. Literally, when you started asking me questions, they came in, my 7th chakra started tingling right away. And now they just keep giving me images, you know.
I find that's funny because you don't investigate and I don't talk to the dead. Well, they don't talk to me, like, you know. actually,
Well,
verbally.
they're wanting me to correct myself. So if you touch something hot but you don't see it, you'll know it in your mind before you feel it, but then you feel it. And so that's kind of like how it is when you hear them. Like, it's like I have a little brain in my ear that knows it, and then I feel it in my ear. Like my ear will get clogged up, or something like that will happen. Seeing them, I see them different. And I'm sure you have, now this is going to ring all kinds of bells of familiarity with you. Like I think I'll see somebody sitting in a car. I look and there's nobody in the car. Yeah. Like I double take and there's nobody in the car. And I see shadow figures. I see them as ghosts too, like transparent in color figures. And then there's the mind's eye, where I can see them without seeing them in front of me, where I can describe somebody
but you're not physically seeing them with your eyes. They're not. Like,
and this is the thing, is it's like you're trying to look at somebody through a curtain, a white curtain or a white sheet. Like I can see they have dark or sheer, let's say a sheer curtain. I can see they have dark hair, but I can't exactly tell you how tan they are. I can just kind of see skin color. I can tell you if they're wearing their favorite shirt, because they're normally going to say, and then I'll see at the same time the color of the shirt. They'll say the color. So say it was red and black checkered shirt. And then, you know what I mean? Like stuff like that.
Do you get like flashes of imagery? Not like necessarily
but it's through a veil. It's it's literally through foggy. A sheer veil. Yeah.
So you got to figure it out.
Yeah.
See, I know so much about you, and I tend to be very careful what I ask you on air, because we never discuss what we're allowed to say and what we're not allowed to say. But do you want to go into when you knew, or when you started this back up, or
I've always known.
Yeah,
I've always felt him. I've always seen him. It wasn't until my youngest son was talking to spirits that made me realize that I had to do something about it.
For his benefit.
Because
had to take care of,
I had to I had to learn
to teach
so
him.
I could be there for him if he ever chose to. And I mean, up until the first grade, he was seeing ghosts. And I asked him now, he would draw me pictures of this ghost that was at his school every day. And he totally knew. He knew exactly what color pants he had on, color vest. I mean, it was summer and he was describing somebody dressed in a winter vest with a long sleeve shirt, long sleeve jeans, and boots. So
how long did it take you to realize that he wasn't just having imaginary friends?
Not long. Well, no. Because I'm so claircognizant, you just know. Yeah. I just knew. I just believed. There was no doubt in my mind. My oldest son, my youngest son never got jealous over anybody hugging him or touching him other than my grandmother.
Yeah.
And at my grandmother's funeral, because he would tell my grandmother, my Jacob, and didn't want her hugging on Jacob. And I think it's because he could see around. I mean, he was 1.5 years when she passed, so he was like 1, and from 1 on. And I think he could see around her aura, that she was passing, and that's the only thing I can figure is why he didn't want her to touch Jacob. And at my grandmother's funeral, E jumps off my hip over to my oldest son, Jacob, looking over Jacob's shoulder, saying, "My Jacob, I'm sorry, but how could you not believe your kid isn't seeing your dead grandmother, their great grandmother?" When he's saying to blank air, and it was from and he was like a year and a half old when that happened. And that's what made me decide. And she hung around my house for a while. She would keep him awake, and so of course that would keep me awake. I would sit with him on his little bed and watch him look at something flying around the room. He would point at it and look at it, and I took pictures. And my grandmother always wore red lipstick.
Yeah.
And I got a picture of her. She had a very distinct nose. I can see her eyes and her red lipstick. I showed the picture to my aunt, didn't say anything, didn't give it a lead up, nothing. I said, look at this picture I took in my room, showed it to her, and she started crying.
Wow.
She's like, that's my mom, that's my mom, that's my mom. And that year, I don't know if I've ever told you this, we had 13 people we knew died. The neighbor across the street died. And shortly after he died, we were out in the front yard, and Ethan's yelling at somebody behind a tree, and there's nobody there, that they needed to go away. So I was just like, okay, that's twice. I hear you. I need to figure this out so I can help my son.
I had an imaginary friend.
He never had an imaginary friend.
Well, sometimes, I don't know how imaginary it was or how imaginary it wasn't. Sometimes my mother says she doesn't know. Sometimes she says it was imaginary. It just all depends on things. But I can describe what this kid looked like and what he was wearing to you. Right now I can, and I was too young, and I would make my mother feed him. And my aunt, my older aunt, like actual aunt age, my great aunt would find us playing outside, and we'd see things being moved, and so
that's so cool.
It's so curious to me on because I don't know what it was. It could have just been an imaginary friend, and
it doesn't sound like it to me. It doesn't feel like it to me. It feels very real.
Yeah, I could describe every inch of them. But yeah.
Have you ever gone back to where you played with him to see what would happen?
I occasionally will, if there's somebody special in my life, very rarely, but I would go to there and be like, yeah, this is partially where I grew up, because I lived half the time there and half the time with in Mass. But it's very hard for me to go back
to that place.
Yeah. I unfortunately, my aunts that lived next door, and everybody's older, because they would be my grandmother's age, my great aunts, they're all gone, so I don't have a reason to visit necessarily anymore. But even doing that was hard. It was just, so no.
So Benji, I know Benji was just joking around, and he says, in my head, I see you all. Well, it's kind of like that. It's not kind of, it's exactly like that, except for you missed the second part of that sentence. There was more to that sentence. You know what? It's not showing up like that on my phone. Everybody's stuff is cut off. But so just with that information in my head, I see you all. It's like that. If you close your eyes and you imagine a banana, you know what a banana looks like. But it's like, if I've never met this person before, how would I close my eyes and be able to imagine what they look like and describe them to somebody? One of the very first readings I ever did, I kept seeing overalls, and instantly that was my sign for they were a farmer. I read Benji after I read Brittany, before I even really knew them, and I kept telling him, somebody thinks he's a farmer. And the thing is I didn't do live readings with them. I did pre-recorded readings for them. And I was like, somebody thinks they're a farmer. I don't feel like they are. I feel like they feel as though that they were a real farmer. And it resonated, it's like, you pick up symbols along the way because you get these flashes. And then sometimes you get told things and you're like, well, I don't even know what the fuck this means. So I'm just going to describe it to you and you're going to have to tell me what it means. You know, the first time I saw a stab victim, I wasn't really sure what it meant. I mean, it looked like a stab victim to me, but then I don't want to make this man that's in front of me asking me about his friend that died, and I don't want to make him cry. So I'm like, so, you know, it's like, well, I'm seeing like cut skin and there seems to be blood, you know, like that's how I described it. It's like, I wanted to be very gentle. I mean, it was so fresh. The gentleman had just passed away, and, you know, and what was really funny is when when the stab victim showed me what he looked like, I was like, I don't know why he's showing me this, and I am so sorry because I don't want you to think I'm disrespecting your friend who was murdered. But he's legitimately showing himself to me like Cupid with a big fat hairy belly, and he's got his knees bent up in his head like a cartoon kind of like, and wings. He's showing me himself as this little angel, and he's got this big fat hairy belly. Well, the gentleman had a big round hairy belly. And once he confirmed that, I was like, okay, well, then instantly I knew the reason he's showing me himself in such a comical way is because he wants you to know he's okay.
Yeah.
You know, but I just had no idea what that was supposed to mean until the gentleman the living person I was reading for was able to explain to me why I saw what I saw, you know.
So do you get the same symbols for each spirit, or is it each one, like, do you have to translate each one differently, or eventually will the same symbols start representing the same thing for each spirit?
Yeah, so if I see somebody in an overall, then I know that they were a farmer or a gardener, that they considered themselves quite handy at you know, gardening or farming. Then one time I saw the same kind of straps on the chest, and I was like, but those aren't overalls. And I realized they were waders because it came up to his chest, but it looked
like
different
fishing?
than yeah, he was a fisherman.
I'm from Mass. You have to explain.
Yeah, so I know that if I see waders, they were a fisherman. If they show me a fishing pole, they had a favorite fishing pole. You know, it's not, why would they, you know, if they've already verified, you know, there's certain things. If I hear my grandmother's name, then I know that the person who I'm talking about, their name is a jewel. It's either jewel, ruby, pearl, diamond. Like, their name is, you know. I grew up with this lady I went to church with. Her grandkids called her Meemaw. If I hear Meemaw, then I know that the living person I'm reading, that it's their grandmother, but they didn't call them grandmother. They didn't call them grandma, that they had like a unique name that they may have called them Meemaw, but they could have called them Mimi or Mama, or, you know, or, you know, something different other than grandma or grandmother. It's going to be a non-traditional thing.
Nicole's daughter calls me Mimi, by the way. She's my niece, and she calls me Mimi. Anyways, so, do you think it's your... See, these are the questions I have. Because I'm a paranormal investigator, so, you know, but mediums, psychics, you know, I'm still so... So, do you think spirits know how to translate these messages to you? Or do you think it's the brain that is picking up on what these spirits are saying and translating it in a way that you can understand?
Well, my guides will definitely translate things in a way I can understand. If it's a message I need to tell somebody that's non-mediumship. So, you know, say I hear a certain song that reminds me of a certain time. Or even though I'm not a singer, on my YouTube channel, my guides will tell me songs, and they'll be like, okay, this is this sign's workout sign, their workout song for the next 2 weeks. Because if the reading's really like kind of sad, the energy I'm feeling around a certain sign is that they're just kind of down. Well, Spirit will say this is the song they need to listen to that's going to cheer them up or make them feel better. But mediumship wise, I think that spirits just try, and it just, to me, I don't know, like the ones that I think I have the easiest time getting a message from are the ones that are crossed over. Mm-hmm. Because I just feel like they just know how. The
and
ones
more clarification of themselves and what's going on, right?
Yeah. I recently did a reading where I felt like this soul hadn't, it was weird because I had never felt this before, a soul that split, where part of their soul had crossed over and part of it didn't, which honestly I didn't believe could happen. And the more I concentrated on the part that was here, that I felt was still here, it felt very troubled. And then I realized it almost felt infected, like it had been eaten away by something dark. And as I'm describing this, because, sometimes I just have to talk it out loud and talk it out to the person. My client is telling me, yes, that this person suffered greatly, and that this suffering ate them away, and it ended up that the person had taken their own life. And so then that made complete sense to me. While part of their soul was able to cross over, but the part that had been eaten away and had been degenerated by this depression and by this willingness to take their own life was here. And then I was shown the image from Poltergeist where the chairs are stacked up in the kitchen. And so then I immediately knew that meant that energy had turned into a poltergeist. And I asked her, then I saw it happening around her. I'm like, do you have like heavy objects fall over, like heavy objects that are so heavy that there's no way that they could be knocked down? And she says, yes. And it's happening. And I'm like, it's his poltergeist energy, that this corroded part of the soul that his good part separated from. So he crossed over. It's like this part that was left here wasn't him. It was like the anger, the sadness, so that was something completely new that had never happened before. Yeah. Oh no. And I had to talk it out loud. And it's almost like when I'm talking it out loud, I'm talking it out with my client, but I'm also talking it out with myself and my guides and getting, it's like that just, and this is why I always recommend to people, when you're carrying something sad, you need to talk it out loud. Even if you don't want to go to a therapist and talk it out loud, you need to speak the words. And that's why I'm saying talk it out loud. You need to speak it out loud because you release it. And then it's easier to understand why you have this information or why you're holding on to sorrow. And because you found a way to release it and talking, I recommend people put their earbuds in and act like they're talking on their phone on the way to work just so they can talk it out loud and get it out.
I whisper curse words out loud all the time. Like, I'm alone for most of the day, and I'm telling you, I just get irritated and I'll walk around my house like whispering curse words just to make myself feel better. Just be like,
you're getting it out. Yeah, getting that energy out. And that's good because then when your family gets home, you're not exploding on somebody because
because sometimes it goes from 12 hours of dead silence, like nothing, to all of a sudden bouncing off the walls. And this happened just talking 100 miles. And I'm like, give me a second. Hold on. Wait.
Well, did that help? I mean, if I describe readings,
No, it did.
I mean,
You
did that
a good
help?
job. Yeah. I can ask the same medium. I can ask 5 different mediums the same question, and I could get 3 different answers because
Yeah.
each
Oh, yeah.
one is
Because
different. So I
for
love
sure.
asking.
I can't see all of what Brittany was saying about Missouri State because it all
Oh,
cut off. I don't
she
know.
was,
Maybe I need to restart my app or something. I don't know.
somebody else was having issues. There was 2 other people that aren't physically in chat, but I don't have permission to say their names, so I'm not. That messaged me saying they couldn't see chat, but they, asking me questions. So she was saying, I saw stick figures whipping each other. It was quite strange in the Missouri State Penitentiary in the dungeon.
Wow.
That's what I said. I said, that's crazy and sad.
It is. It's so sad. And I mean, and then you would have to talk to her. Did she feel like it was something that was continuously happening with the spirit energy and that they were knowledgeable? Or was it a replay in time and she was just seeing portions of the energy left? Like I saw the portion of the soul
Residual.
that was left. Yeah. Residual. And so residual. Yeah.
We should have Brittany on with us sometime, our girls' night.
That would be really fun. But I love her to death.
Yes. Who doesn't?
She's a sweetie pie. Now, Brittany, and I know she won't care if I say this, she's one of the people that I know whose spirit guides will tattletale on them if they're not listening. Yeah. And because I've had her spirit guide tattletale on her to me.
I'm just trying to make sure I'm not missing anything because I have to keep refreshing.
I want to make sure that, I didn't say any names or anything because it's very important to me to keep my clients' privacy.
Yeah, it's very private and you should.
Yeah, I also know that people truly want to know how it works, and you can't really explain it without giving an example.
Can you read a message now?
No, they're all cut off still. She's all fucking Michael.
She said Jen. She didn't say Jennifer, so you're safe.
Yeah. Yeah, her guide Michael.
Yeah.
He doesn't come all the time, but if there's certain songs that come on, then I know I need to reach out to Brittany and check on her and stuff like that.
Oh.
And sometimes it's just because something really great's happening to her,
Yeah, it's not always a bad thing, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And I don't usually, I don't really dream about people I know.
Except me.
Unless something's happening. And that's why when I had that dream and you were in it, I was like, okay, I had to talk my dream out to you so I could translate my dream and figure out what it meant.
Isn't it funny how when we're confused, the second we start saying things out loud, it's like, wait a minute. I know I'm asking your opinion, but I'm starting to figure this out. Hold on. Let me keep talking. Because it happens to me all the time.
And this is why I highly recommend talking to yourself.
I have to. Nobody else listens around here, so,
Well, my husband will answer me back, and I'll be like, not now. I'm talking to myself. And he'll be like, okay, whatever. But he gets it, he talks to himself too. But it's like, no, I just need to talk this out to myself. I just need to say this out to myself. You get that energy out and it makes you feel so much better and it makes you see. And whether you're trying to figure out a problem or you need to release some sort of sad or anger, sadness energy or anger energy, it's just
get
so
it out somehow.
Yeah, you got to talk to yourself.
I'm not even kidding. Sometimes Kate has woken me up in the middle of the night and be like, Ma, you swear I'm in your sleep again.
I've always talked in my sleep too, so but
I'll just be dead asleep and I'll be like, fuck, shit, damn.
maybe you have sleep Tourette's.
I make jokes about it. I don't. I just have a dirty mouth.
Oh, the boys will wake me up talking in their sleep. because I mom sleep. That means
I talk in my sleep also, but you can tell the difference between
Yeah.
yeah.
So do you have any other questions what it's like, or do you feel like you kind of wrapped your head around it a little bit?
Well, I think enough for tonight. I get a
Oh,
sleep
okay.
for, you know.
I was kind of hoping to get out of it in the future.
No, because you know me. I could say I'm done, and then something will pop in my head, and I just blurt it out. No, I think you answered very well. I think, you know.
And people will tell you too. Sometimes, I'm not going to lie, sometimes people will come and they'll want a reading and their energy will just tell me, like I use cards for my YouTube channel, but I don't have to use cards when I'm doing a one-on-one reading because their energy will just tell me. And I'm not a mentalist. It's just that psychic reading them, their energy will just tell me. And once their energy starts talking to me, which to me is their higher self, and I'm able to tell them what their energy or their higher self is saying, then they are able to talk and they're able to talk it out and get that energy out and feel better. And that's why I feel as though I do what I do, because I can read people's energy and help them release it.
I can just read people. I can't read their
Yeah.
energy, but I can read people if I need to. I try not to, but again, I think that's just from growing up where and how I did, but it's not a spiritual thing, but I can read people's energy. And
see, I think we're all a lot more intuitive than we're led to believe.
Yeah, I agree with that. I really do. I'm considered the skeptic, and even Kelly was saying on the air on Friday, she was like, when Jen told me the name of the show, I was like, but who's the skeptic?
Yeah.
You wouldn't believe how many paranormal investigators out there consider me a skeptic. And it's like, no, I believe in the paranormal. I just don't believe in the bullshit in between.
Yeah.
And that's the truth.
Or the bullshit they're trying to feed you.
Yeah, I'm skeptical of people. I'm skeptical of equipment, but I believe in the paranormal. But
yeah.
Being skeptical isn't the same as being a full skeptic either. So, I go back and forth.
Yeah, and Luna agrees that a lot of people can pick up on other people's energy. How many times have you walked into a room after someone's been in an argument and you're like, what the hell happened in here?
I get sick in Walmart.
Yeah.
I'm not even joking. I'm really not even joking. If I walk into a room and it's negative, that tension, I will physically feel it. I can get sick.
So what I recommend is
don't leave the house.
Well, I haven't shopped at Walmart for years, and I recently decided, fuck that. If I want to go see what Walmart has, then I should go see it. And so I decided to put a happy bubble, not just an aura bubble around myself, but I made it a happy aura bubble because there is no other energy I need to feel but my own. So try that.
When you do it, do you not physically,
like put my arms out and make a bubble? You can if you want.
Do you visualize it? That's the word. Do you I visualize it around you or just?
I do. I visualize it. There's some people who have more negative energy than others, and I will find a reason. Sometimes I'll just put my hand out there, and I don't give a shit if someone thinks, what the fuck's that chick doing? But I'll put my hand out and push it away. I will push their energy away, if I'm talking over the phone and somebody's energy is really hyper, I will have to, because I absorb hyper energy. I've always been super energetically hyper and stuff. I have to use my arms and my hands to push hyper energy away from me. I can't just will it away or visualize it away because it feels so good. The hyper happy energy feels really good, but I know I need to be able to read the situation correctly. Yeah. So I will, physically push it away with my, move it around. And, but I'm going to tell you guys right now, I don't believe we are having an awakening. I believe we are awakening to the fact that we are awake. We're having our aha lights turned on collectively, individually, where we're saying, wait a second. Yeah, I've been taught this for, 30 years of my life, but I don't have to believe this. I don't have to think this way. I don't have to agree with this. I don't have to continue to vote this way, whatever somebody wants to say. And that's why we're saying, you know what, I can raise my energy, because I have been raising my energy to the point where I finally realized I've been raising my energy. I think we are all intuitive. I think we all have these gifts. I think eventually, I don't know how long from now, could be billions of years, we won't have to speak with our mouths, as a human race, because I think we all have that ability. I think, yeah, there's possibility, because conspiracies are fun as shit. There's conspiracy theories out there about, with fluoride in water and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I think all of that is potentially true, because they don't want certain people, they don't want another country's people to be more advanced and spy on us. So let's push out the propaganda for everybody to have fluoride in their water or something, you know what I mean? Whatever. But I think we all have this ability. We're all born with it. And we're just all realizing it. And we're all getting better. I think that anxiety and depression are all symptoms of suppressing your natural intuition that we're not taught we have.
Can't be. I wouldn't say it was the underlining reason, but yes, I agree that it can be a reason. Yeah.
That's just my belief is, and I've heard other great reasons for what anxiety and depression can be, but it's my true belief, and I could change my mind tomorrow. If my guides show me something to say, hey, this could be a reason why too. But I honestly believe that we are surrounded by that kind of energy because we're not realizing, we're intuitively picking it up from somewhere or something else.
Sorry, my computer just scanned and allowed me to let me know that I have no viruses.
Oh, yay!
That's what the look was for. I'm like, what is going on? Because I heard ding.
See, like Luna's, it cut off. The emoji would be perf, and that's it.
Perfect right now.
God, I wish I could make a pic of Jen's happy bubble. Oh, my happy bubble's happy. I take my little happy bubble and I go places. And the first time I did it, I met the nicest little old lady at Walmart who just wanted to talk to me because I had my happy bubble on. And I was just like, yep, it worked. I can come to Walmart and be happy.
I need to borrow that just, for a couple days. My whole life would be different.
Just decide nobody's going to make you anything but happy. And if they're not happy, then you're still happy.
Most of the time I can pretend, but then it gets me later. You know what I mean? I'm good at that. Hi,
and you know what? And she was in my blind spot when I was backing out of my parking spot, and I rolled down the window and told, oh my gosh, I didn't see you. Please say I didn't almost say, no, you didn't hit me, honey. I saw you sat there in the parking lot and talked to her for 20 minutes. She was just so happy.
Aw, sorry, I wasn't laughing at you. You brought back a memory when you said that of, the mom. When I was driving my grandmother one time in her car, and she didn't like people really driving her car at that time. And she was older,
Yeah.
So I'm like, don't worry, I'm a good driver. And as I was backing out, you hear thump. She's like, what did you hit? And I'm like, nothing, don't worry about it. It was a guy because I didn't see him, and he banged on the back of the car so I would stop so I didn't hit him. Sorry, that just popped in my head.
Oh, man, that's funny. Well, at least you didn't run him over.
No, he hit the car and let me... Don't worry, it was nothing. It's fine.
What? I didn't hear anything.
Jeez. All right.
Well, just think of it this way. If you're late for The Walking Dead, that means you get to rush through commercials now and watch less commercials because of the fast forward button. Because I know everyone's DVR in it.
Shit, I forgot to record it for Kate.
You're a horrible mutter.
I know. It'll be on demand tomorrow. She won't have time to watch it tonight anyways. She goes to bed early. So, yeah. We're like, don't worry, we'll be off the air by 9. I knew it wasn't going to happen. And I'm not complaining. Well, yeah, we're both sick, so it might have happened, but Hey, I did good. I'm still here and I'm cheerful and
yeah.
Let's see. Anybody have any questions before we go?
I don't think they do.
Luna, me no watch GWD.
She's a GOT, a Games of Thrones.
Ooh, see now me. If Game of Thrones came on, I'd be like, yeah, see you later, Jen. Gotta go.
Like I'm out, bitch. Now, Games of Thrones is good stuff. I just don't pay for HBO. I wait for it to be free, and then I watch all the Games of Thrones. I look it up in order on my phone so I can watch it in order on there.
I don't pay for HBO either. It was free for a certain amount of time, and by the time my free trial was over, Games of Thrones was over. So I'm like, I don't need it. I'm not paying for it.
There you go. It's good stuff.
Doctor Who. I used to love Doctor Who until the new Doctor, and I stopped watching it. That's just me.
The last Doctor Who I watched was the guy who ended up playing, and I can't even remember his villain name. Shit. Oh my God, it's horrible. I feel like a horrible Jessica Jones fan right now. He played the villain in Jessica Jones that would mind control her.
Yeah, I don't know. I never
on Netflix.
Yeah, Kate watched it, but I didn't watch it. There's just too many. I can't keep up with them all.
What did Benji say? All I can see is I'm more of a Lord of the Rings guy. And then it goes blank. Love me some Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings were good, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's good stuff. I like it. I love it. I'm a geek,
now the Doctor is a woman. See, I didn't even know that.
You didn't know that? Yeah, it's a chick now.
I stopped watching it when they brought that old guy. It went from what was it? I forget, Matt something. There was 2 doctors there in a row that I really liked, and then they went to the old one, and I was like, yeah, I'm out.
Well, I restarted my phone. I shut down the app and everything, and it's still not showing me the whole text. It's Spreaker's done this before, and I can't blame it on the Apple update because I'm only having problems in Spreaker. Oh, smart ass! He's doing one word at a time.
Do this.
Yeah, I could watch.
Yeah.
Like it, I've stayed away from Lord of the Rings Funko Pops because there's so many on purpose, and Walking Dead ones because I stuck with Harry Potter, Stranger Things, Nightmare Before Christmas. I have the Friends ones, and then I have all the other ones I have are either cartoons or scary movie stuff. Like I have all the Shining ones, Beetlejuice, Scooby-Doo, the Jetsons, Gremlins,
Benji wants to know what the hell are Funko Pops.
Well, Funko Pops are pop culture collectibles. They're pop culture collectible toys. They're super cute with big eyes, and oh my God, I love them. You have to Google them. And they've been around for 20 years. They're huge there's the Glinda the Good Witch and the Wicked Witch of the West from the Wizard of Oz. Those Funko Pops go for $300 a piece and were sold for like $8 retail. So it's this huge collector's thing, and I'm going to not do it anymore except for Harry Potter. but I'm still taking a break.
It went from you're not doing it anymore to just now Harry Potter.
Well, but I'm taking a break. And then
I'm
I'll
going to create a 12-step program just for you.
Shut up.
But I mean that in all good, warm, mushy
There are
feelings.
so many cute ones, though, that I didn't get. Like, I mean, they have a whole music. Like, they got Motley Crue.
Matt doesn't
They
know
have
what pops are either.
Prince.
What the hell? Where's he been?
They're huge, you guys. Even
All mine melted. So now I own none. But I only had a few, but the ones I had were really cool.
I have 2 Walking Dead ones. Dwayne and Negan.
Hey, look, I got Negan right there.
I don't even have Daryl, and he's my fave.
Oh, look, and Daryl's on. Oh, I didn't change the calendar, though. It's October. Like, there's
Gotta
Daryl.
change it. All right, you ready to wrap this up, sister? I gotta go pee.
Yeah.
They're not plastic, they're vinyl.
I gotta head back to the couch.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching.
thank
You
you.
want to announce the shows that are coming up, Shay?
Oh, shit. Really?
B Squared Magic Mondays, first and every other weekend. They were last weekend, so they won't be tomorrow.
No, they'll be a week from tomorrow.
Week from tomorrow.
I don't have the dates in front of me. Sorry.
And then my one of my favorite shows out of the 3 shows on the network. Friday nights.
Friday nights is Shay's Paranormal Chat, or sometimes known as Shay's Paranormal Rant.
Or if you ask Aaron Thompson, it's Shay's Paranormal Talk.
Yeah, that was so funny.
It's like, excuse me, Paranormal Chat. Hello, get it right.
I didn't even catch it. I think somebody else did.
It was me.
Yeah.
And then, have we heard when Miss Brittany and Miss Haruko will be coming back, which is an amazing show?
Not yet.
So Haruko is Brittany's main spirit guide. So I'm looking forward to their show. And Haruko inspires Brittany on what to talk about. And I love that. Good stuff.
I haven't heard, but I can't wait.
So are we gonna end our shows with some? I feel like I left my final feel good quote when I said you just got to talk it out. So talk to yourself and get your shit out there and get it out of your body. So what's your final feel good quote?
I'm just glad I didn't throw up during the show.
I feel good about that as well.
Yeah, because I could mute it, but I couldn't hide the video. So,
Well, I wouldn't have.
Yeah,
looked.
I have no positive final thoughts except thank you for everybody listening.
What about the tip I gave you about what you should put in the bottom of your throw up bucket?
I did. There's paper towels in the bottom of the bucket. Don't worry.
So it won't
Splash.
on your face when you're puking. So there's your final feel good tip.
I wish people could see what I look like right now. Then they would know why. Number 1, we made it through the show. Number 2, we kept it pretty serious, but
We did. Everyone thinks I can't be, and I can be totally serious.
They say that to me too, but it's because I choose not to be serious sometimes.
I am totally a big girl, so shut up.
She graduated from her pull-ups to her depends.
And I did the friends FU. Double fist, side fist bump.
Oh. All right, everybody. Thank you very much. And we will be back next week. And see you then.
Night.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast by the host and or the guest do not necessarily reflect the views of the host and or Paranormal Buzz Radio and or its sponsors. Use of any material produced by Paranormal Buzz Radio without express written consent is prohibited. Paranormal Buzz Radio will not be held responsible for you holding your knees, crying, and rocking in a corner in a puddle of your own urine, or being beheaded by a group of children in a cornfield. In fact, if you come across a group of children in a cornfield, we promise to make fun of you as you run away screaming in terror. Listener discretion is advised.